parsha told us, and we're on page 125 in the Outscroll. I'm not going to do what everybody else is going to do. Everybody, I guarantee you, all the rabbis throughout the world are going to be talking about when Esav sells his birthright to Yaakov, and then when Yaakov gets the bracha rightfully so from his father, because this is 60-odd years later, because really it was his bracha to get, because they never quite told the father what happened. But that's, everybody talks about that. I may have talked about it last year. I'll leave you to all the explanations that go on with that. It's an interesting story, and everybody wants to condemn him and say he stole it, he didn't steal it. It's a misreading of the story. And for those who really want to explore it, again, I send you to all the different websites, because I will not be speaking the Shabbos, and so I wouldn't be dealing with that. But let's go on. Now we start. Ve'ela told Yitzchak ben Avraham. So these are the generations of Yitzchak, the son of Avraham. Then it says something strange. Avraham olded Yitzchak. Avraham gave birth or begot Yitzchak. So wait a second. You just told me these are the generations of Yitzchak, the son of Avraham. So obviously Avraham begat Yitzchak, right? It's a normal thing. So what happens is Rashi gives you a very interesting thing, that what happened was that Hashem made Yitzchak look like the spitting image of his father. Why did he have to do that? Anybody know? Anybody remember? Go ahead.
Okay. Because she was barren, and then only after they had the encounter with Avimelech.
Correct. Right. So here she was without children with Avram, and then suddenly after Avimelech, she becomes pregnant. So people were saying, oh, it must be Avimelech's child. And to further garner that, by the way, you had one child that was good, Yaakov, and the other child that went off to Derech, Esav. So they said it makes sense that one of them is the one who went off to Derech is from Avimelech, and the one who stayed on the Derech is from Sarah. And because if Avram and Sarah would have had the child, if Yitzchak and Rivka would have had the child, since both of them are tzaddikim, then it would have, I'm too far ahead. Right. If it was Avram and Sarah, so then it would have been, both of them would have been tzaddikim. So Hashem makes Avraham, Yitzchak look like Yitzchak. Yitzchak looks like Avram. Wow, it's killing me right now. Okay, now another thing that the Ramban says, Nachmani says, it's very nice midrash, but that you don't need to say that, because what happened was in the previous parsha, where we went through all the generations of Yishmael. So now we have Elah told Yitzchak ben Avraham. What are we saying? That Avram holded at Yitzchak? That this was Yitzchak. This was Avram's main son. It wasn't the other 7 sons were not the main sons. This is all that we're going to follow Yitzchak, Avraham. Okay. Now it says, "Vayhi Yitzchak ben Arba'im shana." It was that Yitzchak was 40 years old. Bekachtu at Rivka, when he married, or he took Rivka, Bab Tuel Harami, the daughter of Tuel the Aramean, Padan Aram, from Padan Aram. That's where he came from. Achot Lavan Harami, the sister of Lavan the Aramean. Lo the Ishtra, he took her to be a wife. Why do you have to have so many identifications as to who Rivka is? In other words, why are you saying Bab Tuel? We know who she is already. We were introduced to her the last time. We don't think he keep hearing this. So, and also why did he wait till 40 years old? He should have got married a young man. What's going on here? So Rashi explains that when it says 40 years old, because what happened? After Har HaMoriah, after Avram brought his Yitzchak for the Akedah, so that he was informed that Rivka was born. And Yitzchak was 37 years old at that point, at the time of the Akedah. So now he has to wait for 3 years old until Rivka is now 3 years old, and that's when she would be Roy Labia. She would be, in other words, her hymen wouldn't repair itself. Before 3 years old, the rabbis say that if a child has relations, then the hymen will grow back. Here at 3 years old, the hymen will not grow back. Okay, so that's why it means Roy Labi. It doesn't mean he had relations with her at 3. He would wait until she is 13. And so that would make him much older too. But, and then, so that's number 1. That's Rashi. So when he gets married, according to Rashi, he's 40, she is 3. Okay, so that's one thing. And now, not everybody agrees with that. I know a lot of you will have a problem with it, just on, where we come from today. So, the Daz Canaan, if I can find it really quickly here, he says that he goes through the whole thing of looking at her age. It says, here it is. No, wait, I want to give you the right thing. Where is it? Das Canaan. I'm back. Okay, these books. Says the Rashi explains he married her when this Das Canaan, when she was 3 years old, and he said, but it's a major question on this. Why? Because the Gemara says she died at 133, the same age as Kahat and Ben Azai. All 3 died at the same year. So he says, so if that's true, so she lived 133 years, just like Kahat, and if and she was only 3 years old, then when Yitzchak marries her, we find that there's missing from the years 11 years. How is that possible? He says, if she's 3 years old when she's married, then she's 23 when she has a child, because again, they didn't have relations till 13, and then he, for 10 years, altogether, they don't have a baby, so then he starts to pray, because she realizes he's Nakara. So if that's true, it says, then when she gives birth to Yaakov, she was 23. And Yaakov, we know, was 63 when he got the bracha, like is explained in the end of this parsha. And he also spent 4 years in the yeshiva of Aver, and 20 years he served in the house of Lavan. 2 years he stayed on the way, and finally, and when he was on the way coming home, he is told that his mother died. And so what happens? If so, it means she was only 122 years old when she died. And we know she died 133. So, and this way it appears to me that Rivka was 14 years old when she got married to Yitzchak. And that's what it says in the history of Seder HaOlam. And also, Amar Rav Yehuda, that Rav Yehuda says, then you'll find that it was 130 years properly. And according to this, so you need to say what we learned in Seder Olam, that when Avraham returned from the Akedah, then it was said, when he returned, that Rivka was born, and it was already born for 11, she was already around for 11 years. And then it says, Al Zeh Hiksha Rav, so then Rav Moshe Shlomo ben Avraham had a question on this. He says, Maya Hai Tarmina Notnin Zaman Betula. He says, wait, we only give to a Betula 12 months before she gets married, because she has to build up her dowry. And Yalfina Lamikra, and we learn from this verse that it says that the Na'ara will remain with us. So hey, Rivka, how can you learn that from Rivka? She was already above the age of a Betula. She was a young lady. She was 14. She's no longer considered a virgin, even though she is a virgin. She's not longer. She's considered a Bogeret, a different definition. Well, I shouldn't say she's not considered a virgin, but she's not. She can do what she wants. And so that we say that Atam the Bogeret a notnim ki im lam, and over there we say that she only gets 30 days from the wedding, so it took so long. I mean, that's the question you're asking. But nonetheless, according to the Das Canaan, she was 14 when she got married. And now when she has a child finally, she's going to be 34. Which doesn't sound so strange, if you think about it. And also explain how she could feed all the camels. if you follow that, right? She's carrying the water for everybody. She's 14 years old. She's not 3 years old. You don't make her a super woman. So it's interesting, if you go by simple mathematics, she was 14. So the reason Rashi says 3 and Chazal in general say 3 is because they make the connection to the Akedah. That's why they're saying 3. But I just want everybody to understand that there's an argument about how old she was. So, okay. Yeah. And then why does it have to emphasize that she is the daughter of Betuel from Padan Aram and the sister of Levant, who says, we don't already know that she was here. Rather, what it's trying to tell us is her praise, that she came from a wicked man. Her brother was wicked. Her place was wicked. And she didn't learn from their actions.
She still got such a great shidduch.
Right. She got a great shidduch. But that's something that you have to think about. Okay. It shows that nobody's lost. Then it says, V'yeter Yitzchak l'Hashem nochach ishto. So then it says, Yitzchak entreated or prayed to Hashem opposite his wife, Ki akara, because she was a barren. V'yeter lo, Hashem, and Hashem listened to him. And the question is, why didn't he listen to her? She's also praying. V'tar Rivka ishto, and Rivka, his wife, was impregnated. So that's so you have to ask, why didn't Hashem listen to her? What does it mean? Opposite, by the way. So Rashi again says that opposite means he stood in one corner and she stood in another corner, and they davened. Very nice. Hashem listened to him and not to her, because Rashi brings down she'ein domer tefillah tzaddik ben rasha tzaddik ben tzaddik, because there's no comparison of a prayer from a righteous person, the son of a wicked person, to the prayer of a righteous person, the son of a righteous person. Therefore, he listened to him, and not to her. Okay, it's something that we it's a little mussar that we get. Good. Then it says, "V'yidrotzu banim." How about him? So the children agitated with her, moved within her. The Tomer came. She says, "If so, lama zanochi. Why did I do this? Why, in other words, why did I daven for a baby?" But Hashem, she went to search out, to ask Hashem. So what does it mean that the children? I mean, it's normal that a child will, what do you call it? Move in the womb. What do you call it though? Kick and do everything. So Rashi explains, famous drasha here, that when they passed the yeshiva of Shem ve'ever, then Yaakov wanted to get out. He was trying to get out. And when she passed a place of Avodah Zarah, that is when Esav wanted to get out. Now, she doesn't know she's having twins. Say again? I'll take your word for it, but she's
There's 4 limbs moving around. It gets really crowded in there.
okay, I'll take your word for it. I'm not.
You're right. There's 8 limbs.
Say again?
She's right. There's 8 limbs moving around there. There's 4 arms. There's 4 legs. It's crowded.
Okay. Anyway, so the thing was that she was concerned. She says, "Lama zanochi," and she said, "Im kain gadol tzara ibor." If childbirth is such a hard thing, why did I ask for it? And why did I pray for it? Now, what you hear something interesting too, that the Art Scroll brings down, and it's well worth looking at it. Where is it? I don't know where it is, but I saw it. So what we learned from this, that they had to daven to Hashem a lot, is that Hashem loves to hear the prayers of tzaddikim. This is where you get that concept from. That all of the forefathers, all of our matriarchs. Oh, here it's on page 124. Rebecca's barrenness and pregnancy. The sages note that the matriarchs Sarah, Rivka, and Rachel were barren. The commentators explain that their experiences prove that the emergence of Israel is a miracle. For each new generation was a gift of Hashem to a mother who could not have given birth naturally. Their experience is a demonstration of the dictum that Hashem desires the prayers of the righteous, who is pleased for heavenly mercy, and attempts at self-improvement show how human beings can raise themselves to spiritual heights. Now this is a very hard thing to really understand, because what happens, you have these women who, according to science in those days, or even science these days, they're told they're not going to have babies. Okay, so some women go through artificial insemination, some women spend a lot of money, and so on and so forth, and along with their husbands. Well, what we're learning here is you're wasting your money. Because what you should do, and the only thing you should do, is to daven. Doesn't mean that when somebody's hurt, by the way, you shouldn't go to a doctor. I'm not suggesting that.
How does that prove that? They didn't have that back then.
No, they first of all, they did have that back then. They had, you mean artificial insemination?
Or any medical procedure like that.
Well, you don't know that for sure. Yeah, I would greatly question. I would greatly question that the what do you call it? The Egyptians had a lot going on that we don't know how they did it.
Egyptian what?
Egyptians had a lot going on that we don't know how they did it. Mummification, so on and so forth. We don't know how they did it. So there were a lot of things going on. The point is that what the Chazal are telling us is it doesn't rely upon the doctors. It doesn't rely upon the procedures. It relies upon Hashem. So like I said, when you go into a doctor, the first thing you're supposed to do halachically is dive into before I take medicine. I'm supposed to say, Hashem, let this medicine work. Because the medicine itself is worthless. It is.
Isn't that part of that?
Sorry?
The question I always come up with is hishtadlus. How much of what you do, so is it enough to sit in the corner and daven all day? Or because there are procedures available, granted it's all in Hashem's hand, but is it part of your hishtadlus?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to stand here and say you should never go to a doctor. No, you have to go to a doctor, and you have to listen logically to what the doctor's saying, and you have to be an informed customer. At the same time, the doctor doesn't have any special powers. When you're going for those operations, or you're taking your medicine, or whatever you're going to do, you have to dive into Hashem that's going to work. The doctor also should be diving into it. No, it's true. The doctor should be diving into Hashem.
What's the difference between...
That's your hishtadlus, so that's you're putting your efforts in. I mean, one second. The point of putting your effort is that I've done everything I possibly can. Now I leave it in Hashem's hands. I've done everything. So, Hashem can't come to me and say, well, you should have done this. Well, what do you want from me? At that point you can have an argument. What do you want from me already? I did everything. I followed the book on this. And I went and did blah, blah, blah. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die. If this is going to happen, this is going to happen. I rely upon you, Hashem. At the same time, if I don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. No question. Yeah.
What's the difference between davening to Hashem that the medicine you're about to take is going to, should work, and davening to Hashem that the glass of Kool-Aid you're about to drink should work?
Nothing.
No?
Nothing. The only difference would be, well, it depends on how much, I'm going to say it like this. How much, you asked, just for the people in India, you asked, how is it different from drinking Kool-Aid? People listen in India on this thing. I don't know why. I don't know how they understand it, but they do. In Germany, I have a lot of people in here. It's great. I love YouTube. I can see who's listening to me. But anyway, so you said if they drink Kool-Aid or if they take the medicine, if I put my prayer in, there should be no nafkamina. No, there should be no practical difference. I'm saying, in reality, there's not. But the difference is that you and I don't have any faith in Kool-Aid. We don't. We have faith in the medicine. What?
Faith in medicine? You're saying not to have faith in anything but Hashem.
No, what I'm saying is we think that if we take the medicine, that's our hishtadlus. That's it. That's our hishtadlus.
Work in prescribing that medicine.
Right. I took the medicine and the medicine was supposed to work. Again, I have to put my prayer in. If I'm in such a level, and none of us are, if I'm in such a level that I just have to pray to Hashem and do tshuva. By the way, doing tshuva is the biggest thing. I have to do tshuva on that. I have to figure out why my voice is cracking. I have to figure out why I'm coughing, why things are happening. And if I can, why am I stuffed up? And so if I can really do the self-introspection And this, by the way, is very hard. If I really do that, and I do tshuva, and then again I take my medicine, or I listen to, or I steam. By the way, steaming yourself, you do the home remedies. What's the difference of home remedy versus this? If you think that is going to work, potentially it will work.
You've heard of the placebo effect. That's what you
Placebo.
Everything's a placebo.
Well, I'm just saying. So the only stuff that aspirins does is it numbs the pain.
Yeah, but there's chemical.
Okay, I'm not gonna. Again, I'm not saying don't take medicine. Don't get me wrong.
But why are you saying not to? Why are you saying that praying before you take medicine that is?
That's a halacha. What I'm saying. The halacha says that before you take the medicine, before you go to the doctor, before you do this, you should pray that Hashem allows it to work.
But you can pray before, like I say, drinking a glass of coffee.
But you don't believe it's going to work, and there's no record of that working. So why would you pray for that? That's a waste of prayer, unless you really believe, that Hashem is going to solve it through this thing.
So why do we believe that medicine is going to work after we die?
Because we know that we've seen that it does work. That's all. We've seen it does work. So if it does work, why should you argue on it? If something works, something works. I have a headache, I take aspirin, and it goes away.
All these new drugs they advertise on TV, that they're obligated to give you all these horrible warnings, because I had one doctor tell me one time, they by law they have to give those. If one person died when they were testing, if one person died, they must state that when they give you all the.
Right.
So you can die from the stuff. It might be a very tiny percentage.
When you go to the chiropractor, he'll tell you that there's a 0.3% that something's going to happen. So again, but then they tell you, I don't know what you all buy chiropractors, but they can tell you it's going to happen. You have to take, again, you have to say, is it worth the risk? Is it not worth the risk? I get into a plane, is it worth the risk? And otherwise, I say tefillah saderech. I'm not flying the plane. I say tefillah saderech when we hit the, what do you call it, turbulence. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not driving.
Would you be less worried if you were driving?
If I was driving, I'd probably be more worried because I don't know how to fly a
Well,
plane.
assuming you know how to fly a plane, would you be less worried?
I don't think so. I would probably see everything going on. So
So you don't mind driving with someone else?
a plane,
A car.
the car is I control the car.
Fly a plane.
I control cars. Okay. But I can't drive with other people in the car. Yes, I can drive with other people. If other people want to drive me, yes, I'm not a nervous Nelly like that. Okay. And then it says she went and she searched. She asked God, where'd she go? She went to the base medrash of Shem, and to ask for Hashem, so that he should tell her again, that Shem should tell her. Why did she go to her husband?
She was afraid. She didn't want to tell him.
She figured, why should I bother my husband? He has prophecy. He's a prophet. He's a big guy. So, you're going to say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
If he's so holy, then he probably
Right, he's a holy guy, so Mastama Hashem would know. And if Hashem's not telling him, then it must be out to ask somebody else. And then when she goes to Shem, she doesn't want to tell her husband because now she's, it's not good. Fine. So what happens? V'yomer Hashem las, again, Hashem said to her through Shem, he gave the nevuah, says, Shnei goyim b'bednech, you have two nations in your womb. So it's not just one kid running both ways. That's number one. It's not two. You have two kids. And you're going to have two nations that are going to separate from your womb. Two regimes, he said, will be separated. Okay? La'om, mil'om, yamatz, the might shall pass from one regime to the other. V'rav, yavod, se'er. And the elder will serve the younger. So she's already told that her youngest son, Yaakov, is going to be the good guy. Is going to be the leader of the family. This causes a bit of a problem, but nonetheless, it's going to be what it is. Yeah.
Is there any mention before this that mentions twins? Are there twins before this?
I'm sorry?
Are there twins in the Torah? In
Can enable.
What? Can enable the twins? Oh.
Oh, actually, no, they're not twins. I take that back now. So are there any twins? I don't think there are. I mean, they're later. They'll have.
After this, well,
Right.
before, like either from just.
I don't believe you have twins.
I don't know.
I don't have born twins. Chava comes from Adam.
They weren't born.
Yeah, but they were created from the same.
That doesn't make it twins.
Is there any commentary of why Shnei Goyim, why it's Goyim is spelled in the Torah with Gimel Yud Yud?
Right. So Rashi explains this is referring to Antigonus and Rebbe. Antigonus would be the Roman emperor, and Rebbe would be the Rebbe. And it says that they didn't, that food didn't leave their table. No, they were both very rich. So that's why it's written like that. Okay, let's go on. V'yimlu yameh le'ledet, so the days were fulfilled to give birth. V'inei tomim bibna, and behold, there were twins in her womb. So it says that if you look at tomim, it's not written with a yud. It's written tov mem, tov vav mem mem. It should be written, if you want to go with a plural, it should be tov vav mem yud mem. So what we learned here is that one is not going to be, one will be a tzaddik and one will be a rasha. That's what you're learning from that. Okay. So Vayed say Harishon Admoni, one came out fully red, merged red. Okay, Kulo Ka'aderet Se'ar, entirely like a hairy mantle. Now look at the word Vayikra'u Shmo Esav, and they called his name Esav.
How do we know they're going to be equal at that point?
What?
How do we know they're going to be equal at that point?
Because he's all red. It's a sign of blood. By the way, he didn't. Well, just for the people, we have one question, and I don't want to forget. How do we know that Esav is going to be evil? Your question is
For signs and stuff.
what?
For signs, like being born under a sign or under a star like that.
Right.
If you're born under a red or
Mars, right.
If that means your future and your skills is shedding blood, which could either mean you're a murderer or you'll be a schechter
Or a doctor. Right. So what has to be said here is Esav was not destined to be a bad guy. Yaakov was not destined to be a good guy. They were destined to be who they were. And it all goes with their upbringing. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, nobody is, you can't, I'm trying to explain to you, nobody can say what you will be. When Yishmael said he'll be a para Adam, what we're hearing is a prognostication of what the future could be, but nonetheless he was brought up with God. God was bringing him up. He could have turned into a great guy. Esav could have turned into a great guy. The problem is, as Rabbi Hirsch said, and I'm quoting Hirsch, and yesterday we learned it from Rabbi Kudnicki, is that you have to educate everybody lefi darko. And if I don't do it according to the way you learn, and I try to put you into my model of learning, then you're going to rebel against what I'm teaching you. So Esav was not given those skills because he thought, first of all, he learned how to speak to his father to manipulate the father, according to Rashi. And so the father said, okay, the guy's a tzaddik. He held this guy was a tzaddik. He held him as a tzaddik. So if his son, his oldest, is a tzaddik, I don't have to do anything anymore. Then what I'm doing is working out. The way that you would look at it today, by the way, is, and I'll quote the person, Rabbi Dr. Pelkovitz, who was a psychiatrist, he came up with, everybody has a bumper sticker. What does that mean? Either Yale or bust, Lakewood or bust, YU or bust. Everybody has a vision of what they want their kids to be. And when the child doesn't fit into that bumper sticker, they consider that child a failure. And they consider themselves failures. And that creates a tremendous amount of problems in the world with kids and everything else, and relationships. And he's saying we have to stop that. We have to look at each person according to where they are and educate them properly according to what their strength is. And that's why, by the way, homeschoolers really get to do that very nicely, normally. Again, depending on how good of a homeschooler you are. But if you're really there's two types of homeschoolers I've noticed. You have a homeschooler who just likes to go to museums. They're living out their youth again, so they torture the kids. But you have others when they call this unschooling, where the kids follow their own path, and the truth is, they usually score very high on all these standardized tests because they learned because they wanted to and they knew how to do it. Am I right? What I'm saying? Yeah. Again, it's homeschooling is very good.
Back in the day, there was no cheder.
Say it again.
Back in the day, there was no cheder, like a long time ago.
What are you talking about? How far back you want to go?
I don't know, before the shtetl was...
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. In the Gemara, you have it.
The same type that we had.
The Gemara, they had it, that they said there has to be a school system because people weren't being educated. So there was already, it's in the Chas V'Nayim times.
So they were learning in like 10 kids in a class with the Rebbe.
The Mishnah actually, the Gemara actually says, I should say, Halacha says, 30 kids.
Really?
One room schoolhouse.
That would be a total of
Yeah, you didn't have everybody. I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Remember, people didn't pay. The guys who were educating didn't get paid. They got paid, but they were beggars. That's the problem. I'll go back onto this one. I once said this, and for those who want to look at my history, the problem of the Reform and Conservative movement was, and even the Orthodox when they had it, was Hebrew schools. The greatest plague to the Jewish people since the 10 plagues of Egypt. Because nobody enjoys Hebrew school.
The 10 plagues were good for the Jews.
We could do without the 10 plagues. You're right, they killed. I'm just saying it was. They were good for us, but Hebrew school is that's how the Jews got back at us. And what happened with Hebrew school? They had people who couldn't teach. They were homemakers. They were butchers. They didn't know anything. They weren't educated, and they really are a waste of space. And I'm being very rough on it, but it's you destroyed generations by doing that, and everybody hates it. So that's really what you're looking at, and that's why you weren't doing it lefi darko. You were doing it for teachers who didn't know how to teach, but they needed a job, and they would get $10 an hour in those days. Whatever they were getting. And if you go back to the shtetl, before the shtetl, again, this is the Gemara times, they were even getting paid less.
But I used to hear stories where teachers would teach, like there'd be a child who would learn with his teacher, and then he'd go to another teacher, like depending on the...
It all depends on how rich your parents were.
Well, if they were wealthy by today's standards, then they would have that option.
They didn't have to be by today's standards, but they would, if they would be able to hire the Rebbe, and then and the kid had to show promise.
So that is optimal then, if you can afford it.
Sorry?
That's optimal.
I'm not going to argue it's optimal. I'm saying what was done. You're saying they didn't have it. I'm saying they did.
Well, then people don't homeschool today usually because of convenience. It's not convenient to do that. Most people don't.
I don't want to get into homeschooling again. It's
better than people would do.
I'm not going. It's people have different reasons for homeschooling, and I applaud everybody for what they do. I have no problem with it. I used to homeschool myself, but it's you have to know what you're doing. That's all I'm saying. You have to know what you're doing. You have to understand how the kid learns, how your kids learn, and no two kids learn the same way.
What's the point of knowing your mazel? Like if we were talking about astrology or something, if we know what sign we're born under, that's
We don't have to know it. We're above mazalot.
But we understand that we have a certain. We're born with a certain.
Again, we're in Yisrael of mazal, so we're above that. We have it, Hashem, so we're not bound by our mazalot.
So when I saw the Yaakov were born, even if
I'm saying he was red, so that's why they were both the same day. It's not a matter of mazal at that point. It's the matter of he was red, and he was fully grown, as it were. So that was a sign. The red was a sign of blood. That's all. So
educating him.
what?
Why was the point of even
Because you want to educate your kids.
But if you know he's going to be a
You don't know he's going to be a Rasha. The father thinks he's going to be a tzaddik. It's the mother who is told that they're going to go different ways. That's all. She doesn't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows.
I've never been a mother, but I would think at that point I'd be pretty discouraged about the whole thing. I wouldn't,
Well,
my kid was
like you said, you were never a mother, but it's you have to trust that you're going to do the best thing.
You're playing poker and you're given a 3, a 6, a 4, and a 2. I mean, you're not.
I don't know if the game's
It's
right.
pretty lousy. Yeah.
Okay, again, you have to do the best. Nobody says your child is going to end up this way. You shall see it as time goes on, but but the father doesn't see it. But like I said, you could blame it on the education. You could blame it on a lot of things. He wasn't destined. He didn't have to be bad. That's all. According to Hirsch, what should have happened was Yaakov should have been running the yeshiva, and he should have been the outreach director. That's what should have happened. Because he could convince people. He had a good tongue to him. Okay. Then what happens? Afterwards, Yaakov, his brother, his brother came out, and his hand was holding on to Esav's heel. Vayikra, he called. So who's the he? It's either Hashem or it's Yitzchak. And he called his name Yaakov because he was holding on to the heel. Yitzchak ben Shishim Shana V'ledotam. And Yitzchak was 60 years old when they were born to him. So what happens here? So it says he wanted. It's interesting Rashi here. He said Rashi explains that Yaakov wanted to hold Esav back because really Yaakov was the firstborn, and he fixed it like this. Again, it doesn't work. I don't think it works medically, but he said he was the first point of semen going into the womb, and like a test tube. If you put a rock in, so the first rock in is going to be the last rock out. So really, he's trying to grab him to pull him back. So that's how Rashi explains it. Yeah.
When she went to the Shem.
Yeah.
Right. The learning house.
Right.
Asked Shem what was going to happen.
Right.
So the eldest would serve the youngest. The eldest would. Well, I guess it didn't say the eldest would be the evil one. It just said
It's just right.
Oldest, yeah. No.
Again, he has a chance to do what he wants.
Right.
Nobody makes him do anything. He has a choice.
Being born red gave him a lesser disposition. He didn't have the ability that he would have had he not been born red.
No, I don't accept that at all because everybody has an ability to do what they want. Otherwise, you take away free will. And you have to have free will. At all times, it has to be free will. So, again, you have to help the guy understand what free will is. You have to help the people live up to their potential. And the minute you give people the excuse that, because you were this, that you were forced to be evil, you've just given them carte blanche to do whatever they want.
Being born red and being born that way.
Ruddy, red, whatever you want to say. What?
An added challenge that most people don't have.
Why? He was redhead. What do you want?
But he was also born looking like that.
He was fully clothed. In other words, he had full hair over him. He had a lot. You know, he went to a bristle. You see the kid.
Like a baby kangaroo.
No, it's not a baby. He's fully. He has a lot of hair on him. That's why they called him Esav, which means fully done. That's all. Again, you're looking at two kids. One is fully made, if you will, and the other one is grabbing onto the heels, saying, "Get back in here. I want to take you back." Well, what?
Seems like he was born unequal.
No, he wasn't born unequal. They're both born equal. Oh, we have to stop here.